Hey guys, welcome back to Maelstrom Gaming Studios. I'm Craig, and today we're going to go over how to start collecting Tyranids. I know a lot of you are probably new. You're sitting here, you've just got your Leviathan box in hand. Maybe you've built all of the models, maybe you've painted, built it all, you've done an all-nighter through Saturday to Sunday, got everything ready to go. Maybe you are still sitting with your box unopened, trying to plan what to do. This video is going to be perfect for you, as we're going to cover everything I think you need to know about collecting Tyranids, where to start, how to expand your Leviathan box, and best ways to do it. So stay tuned to that. Before we dive in, I just want to thank our members, remind you to like and subscribe. Check the links in the description below to help support our channel. All of the money we earn from this and the links goes right back into growing the channel. So thank you guys, really appreciate it. And now let's dive into today's video. So we've got a lot of things to cover today. I'll put some timestamps down below, so if you need to skip through or go back, you can do it with these. First things first, we're going to talk about the Leviathan box because there's a lot to go on with that. Then, important thing, whenever someone asks me about collecting 40k in general, there are questions I think you have to ask yourself when you want to play the game so you don't go in blind. We're just going to cover those, just make you think a little bit. Then an important thing for Tyranids, because at the time of filming this is we are index mode Tyranids. We have not got to the codex yet, so I might remake this or edit it or something once we get our codex. But right now this is index mode, and there are a lot of units I would hold off on buying because it sounds like we're going to get a lot of updates. So we're going to hold off on a couple units. I'll mention those. We're going to talk about combat patrol for Tyranids. Some next steps, the next units I would buy if I were you. Some places to buy, just considering there are options out there. And then I have an example of a 1K list and a 2K list at the end of the video. These aren't supposed to be tournament winning, game breaking lists, but these are supposed to be ways, quick and simple ways to expand on your Tyranid Leviathan boxes and do it with the fewest amount of kits while still being an effective list. So with all that, let's first dive into the Leviathan box. This is the first time in a very, very long time that Tyranids have been featured in a box, a launch box like this. And with that being said, this is the most cost-effective way to get into Tyranids you will probably have ever in the next 5-10 years. So if you ever are even considering starting Tyranids, try to pick up a half of a Leviathan. They are all beautiful new sculpts. None of them I can really complain too much about unless I'm getting super nitpicky. And you can probably pick this up for around $120, $150 US. I don't know exactly how that's going in other countries, but for us, $120 for all of this is insane. When they release stuff individually, I wholly expect the unit of Barb Gaunts and the Screamer Killer and the Leapers to cost $150 so you buy them all separately. Maybe they'll be a little cheaper, but still, you could just look at it as buying the top three, or the Psychophage, Leapers, Screamer, probably buying all of those. You buy them now in this box and you get the rest of the stuff for free. It's just, yeah, it's good. And for the foreseeable future, this is the only way you can get the Screamer Killer and the Neuro Tyrant and the Neuro Gaunts for the time being. So if you want it, if you're even on the fence of it and you've got the money around, I always say don't overspend on the 40k hobby because it can be a very deep pit. But if you ever consider Tyranids, this is a great place to do it. It's such a great deal, I would consider buying 2 of them if you have the opportunity. I'm buying 3 of them. But still, even if you buy 2, it's an insane deal. There are very limited duplicates when it comes to this. Yes, I don't see many lists where you're bringing 2 winged primes. Maybe in the future, if Tyranid Shrikes, which are winged warriors, do come out, you're going to want a couple of them if you're doing a thematic list of all flying monsters and creatures. That would be an instance. There aren't many instances where you'll run 2 Neuro Tyrants, but if you're running a massive horde of an army, we're talking like 200 models on the table, because you can do that, 2 Neuro Tyrants is what you probably want. So there are are some okay, they aren't horrible duplicates. Like Space Marines have some duplicates that are not great. We don't have that situation. Yes, you're going to want 6 Leapers. Yes, you'll want 2 Screamers. Yes, you'll want 2 Psychophages. You'll want 10 Barbgons. If you are brand new, you will want 40 Termagants. No question about that. Will you use them every time? No, but the option's out there then. And it's so cheap, you might as well do it. Now, we'll get into questions you should ask yourself. The first question is, why are you collecting Tyranids? Are you going solely competitive play? Do you love the look of Tyranids? Do you love the lore? Are you doing some more thematic, narrative stuff? Maybe you're playing Crusade, or just for fun, maybe your buddy really wanted the Space Marine half of Leviathan. He said, sure, I'll take the Tyranid half, I'll paint it up and see. It's important to ask. Competitive play, again, in competitive play, there's different tiers. Like you could be, I'm trying to win every game, top notch. We'll try and get you there. Again, we don't even know what's going to be good right now. And then there's just, I want to play, and I want to compete, but I don't need to, hardcore kick everyone's butt. I just want to have a competitive army. And then again, the other ones obviously make sense. If you just like the look of them, then you probably don't care. And if you're just playing for fun, then again, you probably don't care. You just want something that can compete. And that's important. So the next question is, how big do you want your army? Is this going to be your main army of 40k like mine? Obviously, it'll take you time. I encourage you to take time to grow your army. I am on year, oh gosh, are we in 11 or 12 now? My army, once I add Leviathan into this, I'm going to be well over 10,000 points of Tyranids. It's my main army. I can pretty much field all of the army combinations I want because I have multiples of every model and every unit. Still don't have everything I want, but I have a lot of what I could do for variety 6. If you just want enough, like most people, to play a variety of 2K games, maybe you're looking at a total of 3,000 points of Tyranids, so you can play a couple different 2,000 point games, then go with that in mind and just don't buy everything for the sake of buying it. Buy what you know you'll need and you can swap out. And maybe you're just looking for smaller 1,000 point games, combat patrol. You're not playing the big stuff yet, you just want to get small. That's fine too. That is definitely okay. Just go with that in mind of how much you need or want. And then think of a play style in mind. A lot of 40k armies are unfortunately, or fortunately, however you look at it, mixed to, they have one play style. They really do well doing one thing, and maybe there's a few varieties to do that, like Eldar are typically, they're more mobile, glass cannon-y, or Admech are much more shooty, they're okay at melee, much more shooty, Tower very shooty, Genestealer call it very melee focused. So some of the Tyranids, like Space Marines, have a ton of styles you can play in mind. The Codex is very depth. We have a lot of monsters that do the same things, but they're different styles of doing it. So you can play a very balanced list. Fine. You can play Monster Mesh, all monsters. You can play Swarm, all little gaunts just running at the table. We're talking 200 bodies on the table trying to just go at your opponent. Do you want to play all melee or all shooting? Tyranids can do both. I think our melee is a little better in this edition than our shooting, but still you can do both. Do you want to play a flying army for the thematic, everything's got wings and stuff? You want to play a stealthy infiltration style army, or is there something else you want? Just again, if there's something that catches your eye, then you can gear your builds towards that. But just think about it, if you're coming from another army, or you know the way you play, maybe there's one thing that stands out to you more than the other. So now that you've asked yourself that, we'll get into a few more things. So Combat Patrol first is something else we have to talk about. Now in 10th edition, Combat Patrol as a game mode. So there is a 500 points, you play it, you're supposed to use the Combat Patrol box in order to play it. That way it's balanced on all ends. And it gives you a few extra rules or changes a few things for balancing, but it's a great buy one box, play a game, and learn until you expand. Now for a collecting purposes, there are 2 Combat Patrols for Tyranids. One of them is out of print and gone, but it's still out there. You could probably find it at some game stores if you really want it. And that's the one on the top here. The downside to it is that you get 60 Termagants. Actually, you get, 12? You get 36 Termagants that are the old sculpt. So if you're already getting Leviathan, maybe it's not worth it. but you do get some nice warriors and Hive Tyrant in there. So that's the point of that one. The one down below will be released when our Codex comes out, but if you buy Leviathan box set, you have everything in there already. So mainly just bringing up the point is these boxes will be the same price when the other one's on its own. But if you really want the old one or have the old one, that's fine. The old one will not work in the new Combat Patrol because those rules will not be balanced for Combat Patrol. But for collecting purposes, if you for some reason don't mind the old Gaunts or want to choose the old Gaunts over the new Gaunts, you might be able to find it out there. Next, we're going to talk about some models I would wait on buying. Yes, some of these models are going to be very good right now in the index rules, but maybe you think about it, and a lot of these models are old sculpts, and we are pretty confident new ones are coming in the next 2 to 3 months. So I'll go through them, and you just have to think, it's like, okay, if I buy these, they're gonna look kind of old and out of date compared to the rest of your army, especially if you're new to Tyranids and you have all new sculpts, then maybe you don't want these. I of course have these, and I will be rebuying some of them to replace, but not replacing everything in my army. So first off, old sculpts I am almost positive are coming are Death Leaper, because we saw him now, and the Lictors. There's no way they would create a Death Leaper and not create the Lictors as a new sculpt. So that is how I see that one. Those ones, so if you want a Lictor or Death Leaper and you're okay on waiting, I would wait. Maybe paint up all of your Leviathan before you buy these. Gene Stealers is another one that I'm super confident that we'll be getting new ones. They are out of date. They don't fit the new way that they are modeled. There are 8 of them in the box, and you buy them in units of 5 to 10. They're old. They're really old sculpts. I think they're pre-2000s technically, or just post-2000. And then Hormagaunts also. We saw new Termagants. There was no way GW would release new Termagants without doing Hormagaunts in the future. So those units for sure. Another set of units that I'm pretty confident are going to be having some new models here soon are Pyrovores and Biovores. Whether they come out as a multi-part plastic kit or individual ones you can buy on your own, I don't know how they're going to do it. My original thought was a box of 3 as multi-part plastic, so you could build 3 of one, 3 of the other. But maybe they'll just do them individually, like a $30 model that is, well, one of them, and you can build it how you want. So there. Some other ones that I think could get new models. These ones, if you want to buy them now, you might be okay. But there's still a chance because they are older and it seems like they're updating things around them. Gargoyles are one of them. Again, I don't think the gargoyle sculpts are bad, but they are replacing the other 2 Gaunts, so I could see them replacing the gargoyles, but I'm not nearly as confident on that as the other ones. Raveners, again, they're a fine sculpt right now. They're plastic, so I could see GW replacing them, but at the same time, if there was a plastic kit that I would see them leaving behind to be updated later, Raveners would be one of them. And then Carnifexes. There's a chance that GW could be releasing an all-new Carnifex kit to coincide with the Screamer Killer kit, and that would encompass a new Old One-Eye and new regular Carnifex as well. I don't know. My gut is putting this to be higher than 10% confident, but I'm not sure on that one. So while I do think everyone should go, and you'll see my list, go out and buy a Carnifex box to get Old One-Eye and a new one, I would hate to recommend to go buy a new Carnifex kit and get Old One-Eye and a new one, and then just in like 3 months later, they have an updated version. So I'm torn on it. I don't know what to say entirely, but I'm giving you the warning now. And then some new models we know that, I hope are coming. Shrikes, so Winged Warriors, I hope they come out so they can coincide with the Winged Tyranid Prime. And then the Norn Emissary, and I guess it's a multi-part kit, is rumored to be our new plastic Titan. So again, it's not like a Titan you can buy. You could, but just heads up, it's some new models that might be coming in the future too. Now I want to talk about what units I think you should buy next. So you've got your Leviathan box. What else can you do? So first off, I think everybody's going to want a Foot Tyrant or a Swarm Lord. This kit is, well, it's a multi-part kit, so you can do one or the other. But if you are halfway decent at magnetization or a pretty good learner, or you know someone who can help you, this kit is not difficult to magnetize at all. I would magnetize it before you glue it all together, just to be sure. Maybe I'll do a video in the future. I already have 3 Tyrants, so I don't really need a 4th one. Maybe I'll make one to go with the new models. But I would really recommend, because maybe some lists you'll have both, but there's a lot of lists where you only have one, and the ability to just swap a few arms and go back and forth between the two, really worth saving you a lot of money in the short term. In the future, buy another one, but for now, magnetizing them, especially because the Hive Tyrant has multiple weapon options, is a good idea. So that's one of them I recommend. Another kit, again, a multi-part plastic kit, is a Turfgon and a Tyrannofex. Again, if you can, I would magnetize these. At least magnetize the Tyrannofex's weapon options, because it'll go back and forth between which one you want, whether it's the rupture cannon or the acid spray. I have one magnetized. I wish I had all of them magnetized, but I don't. So yeah, this one is harder to magnetize, at least for the Turfgon to Tyrannofex part. My only tip I can give you is to magnetize the sack for the Turfgon. Magnetize the 2 bottom halves together. Don't magnetize where the sack actually connects to the body, because the sack has little clips that sit in the grooves just right. So if the clamps on and you just hold the magnets together here, if you do it right, that 1 or 2 magnets down there will hold the sack onto the Turfgon kit, no problem. So that's my only thing there. It's a good kit to have. It's always fun to bring, especially if you're buying 2 boxes of Leviathan. You'll have 40 Termagants and a Turfgon and 40 Gons. It's a fun thing to run, and everyone wants to run a big Tyrannofex at some point. So that's one I'd recommend. Finally, another kit you'll probably want to go out and buy 4 of these or something are the Zoanthrope / Venomthrope kits. So Zoanthropes, if you saw my more recent video, one of the most criminally undercosted units in our codex by far. They're so good. There's no reason you shouldn't have a minimum of 3 of these in every single one of your armies. I recommend it 6, 2 groups of 3 or 1 big block of 6. If you're feeling wild, maybe go with 9 of them, 1 block of 6 and a block of 3. Super good. Pretty much do it all except for melee. Just great units. And then likewise, the other half of the kit, this is one I would not magnetize at all. I would just build them as they are, because you're going to want both of these probably. The Venomthropes, great support unit. Again, coming in pretty cheap on the side, but they're very good for supporting all of your tier units, whether it's a horde or an elite army. Venomthropes are a great unit to have. Next, I want to talk about some places to buy. First off, I'd say support your local game stores. If you go there to play games, you should be spending money and supporting them so they stay in business. If you just buy all your stuff online and then go and play in there and never buy anything there, you're not really giving the business they deserve. Every time I go and play tournaments, maybe not every time, but every other time, I try to make sure I'm at least spending a little bit of money there to help support them, because I support them. Now I have a lot to my collection, so I don't buy as much, but I do like to buy from them when I can. Check online. If you are newer, you can check for some used models. Maybe you buy some used models people are throwing around, maybe some old sculpts of something that you need to practice with. For painting, Facebook Marketplace and eBay are great. Lately, I've been shifting away from eBay, and I really like the Facebook Marketplace because it's a lot easier to communicate with the seller there, and you can kind of go back and forth, and yeah, there's a lot of pages for 40k trading. Just go into Facebook and type in 40k buy sell page or something like that, and you'll find plenty of them out there. I don't use Facebook at all anymore, except for 40k group chats, Facebook Marketplace, creating events, things like that. So I do recommend it a lot there. And then scour for discounts. Tyranids are an expensive army. They're not the cheapest one by any means. They're no Custodes or Space Marines. You will be buying a lot of models. Try and find online places you can get 10 to 20% off some of your big kits. If you're going in on some bigger things, try and see what you can find. Again, Facebook Marketplace for deals, other online stores. If you're in the UK, Element Games link down below. Support the channel. You have discounts there. Yeah, so just don't go. Essentially what I'm saying in this page is don't go to GW's website and just buy everything at full price from GW. There are other ways around it to get a better deal or at least support something else. Not that I don't want to support GW, but GW gets their cut in the end no matter what. And finally, we got some lists to go over. So first list is going to be based on the Leviathan box, and we're just going to add a few kits to it and you'll have a 1,000 point list. So for this one, 1,000 points, our additions are just 2 kits. It is a box of Zoanthropes and a box of Venanthropes. Technically 2 of the same kits. I would recommend right after this video to go try and find those, buy some of those boxes if you haven't already, because I have a good feeling they're going to be sold out in a lot of places very soon. So check out these, buy these ones, but with buying those 2 kits, this is the list you get. You get a Neuro Tyrant with its 11 Neurogons. You got a Wing Prime, who probably will be flying solo. Actually, I think he has to be flying solo. 20 Termagants. You could put these as 2 groups of 10 or 1 group of 20. I put them as 1 as 20 for now. We'll kind of have to see how playstyles really work out. I just like the bigger block. It gives you more chances to respawn. Someone has to do 20 wounds outright in 1 turn to wipe out the unit so they can't respawn versus 10 units or 10 models in the unit. You got your 5 Barbgons. You got your 3 Leapers, 3 Venomthropes now, and 3 Zoanthropes now. The Psychophage, Screamer Killer, and then for finishing up the points, Adaptive Biology and Alien Cunning. Adaptive Biology, I would put it on the Warrior Prime because he's going to be a bit more aggressive, and Alien Cunning on the Neuro Tyrant because it really won't matter for him after the fact. Really, this playstyle comes down to if you have a big block of 20 Gaunts, you surround them or kind of have like this bubble of the Termagants, the Psychophage, Zoanthropes, and Venanthropes, and they just work as one big cohesive unit. That unit of Termagants provides a shield, and everyone else provides buffs to the shield. That Termagant unit starts with a 5-up save. It'll have a 4-up save because the Venanthropes get a benefit of cover. It'll have stealth, so -1 to hit at range because of the Venanthropes. It'll have a 6-up invuln save because of the Zoanthropes, and it'll have a 6-up feel no pain because of the Psychophage. So it really just, the Termagants aren't probably going to do a ton of damage, but it provides a bubble so you can just move your force up. Your Leapers, your Screamer, and your Prime are going to be your more aggressive threats. They're going to be going after your opponent's other units and objectives, doing damage, at least early on, and then mid to late, your Psychophage and your Zoanthropes are going to be doing significant damage. Your Termagants can still do some good chip damage. And then your Neuro Tyrant and the Neurogons, and the Barbgons are just going to hold down the backfield, kind of be their supportive unit. That is what they do. So it's 1,000 point list. I think it'll be pretty good. So that's that one. And then we're going to go into a 2,000 point list. Now this 2,000 point list is based on if you bought 2 boxes of Leviathan. So the Neuro Tyrant, I'll just dig into it. So you got Neuro Tyrant, 22 Neurogons as a unit, a Tervagon, a unit we're adding, a unit of 10 Termagants, 2 units of 20 Termagants, 2 units of 5 Barbgons, the Venanthropes, 6 Leapers, 6 Zoanthropes now, Psychophage, Old One-Eye, a Carnifex, 2 Screamer Killers, Adaptive Biology, and Alien Cunning. So the units we're adding here are a Tervagon, another unit of 10 Termagants. You can probably find another unit of 10 for dirt cheap out there, so not a bad thing to have. We, again, are adding a unit of 3 Venanthropes, 2 units of 3 Zoanthropes, and then 1 Carnifex kit for Old One-Eye and a Carnifex. So the playstyle, again, very similar, but this time your block is even more durable because it's 40 Termagants supported by the Psychophage, Zoanthropes, Venanthropes, and a Tervagon. All one big cohesive block working around the mid-board. Your Screamer, your Carnifex, Old One-Eye, they'll lead the charge up to your opponent. The Leapers will patrol the flank and maybe Alpha Strike a unit with their infiltration roll. And then the Neuro Tyrant, the Neurogons, the extra 10 Termagants, and the Barbgons will kind of hold down the rear objectives and maybe late game move up to the mid. Maybe screen out opponents, things like that. So that's kind of how the list goes. Yes, the Venthrops and Zoanthropes are going to be expensive kits, so hopefully you can find a deal there or something, find some used ones there. But I think actually this is a pretty solid list. There may be some things if we're getting really competitive that would change. Overall though, I do like the list, and maybe at some point I will use this list on the channel once I get all of my stuff figured out. So that is everything I have. It is a long, comprehensive video. Hopefully you found it very useful. Share it if you know someone else who's starting Tyranids. I think this is going to be a great, if you're more experienced, more veteran person out there, Tyranid player, put down what you would recommend in the comments down below, and we will we'll have a conversation in the comments, basically growing this hive mind as a cohesive force. And yeah, and we'll have fun here. So thank you guys for watching. We'll catch you next time here at Maelstrom Gaming Studios, and have a great day.